everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nakisha, and today we're going to be talking all about how to start a blog in 2020. If you have ever commented below or jumped in my DMs to ask me about blogging and how I started and told me that you wanted to start one, this is the video for you. Today I'm going to be talking about the process to get your blog started and actually be successful at it in 2020. Now, things in blogging have changed quite a bit. So before you start, you kind of need to keep some things in mind. And I talked about that in this video that I'll link right up here. But today I will go over a few of those things and go much more in detail about the process of doing so. One of the first things I would tell you to do is to do your research. Influencer marketing has changed drastically, and there are a lot of things that have changed in 2019 and that will be changing in 2020. So your first step, I would say, is to do your research. Go ahead and look up some YouTube videos, maybe search on Google, take a look at Instagram, and try to see, maybe any trends or what's happening or what people are saying is to come in influencer marketing, but do not get caught up on that. Just kind of brief yourself a little bit and go ahead and get started. Because one of the things that I see people do all the time is they get caught up in the research phase and they get stuck on questions that just are not even relevant. The best way to become successful is just to go ahead and get started now. Don't get stuck in the research phase. Don't get stuck on procrastinating because you have all these questions. Just start. Now, after you've done your research, the next thing that you're going to want to do is start building an audience. Yes, I believe that's the first thing that you need to start doing. Start building an audience via YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever. Even in person is a great place to start building an audience, because depending on how you want to monetize this blog, if that's what you want to do, you cannot do that without an audience, right? So you need to start sharing the content that you want to share with your blog audience on social media, in person. Start to build an audience so that when you're ready to launch that blog, you have people that are already watching you, listening to you, and ready to consume that content. Now, with that being said, you need to know what you want to blog about. And I usually tell people, think about something that comes really naturally to you, something that you're going to want to talk about all the time, that people will ask you questions about all the time, because trust me, they will. I kind of started out my blog talking about being a single mother, and people know me for that, and people still come to me about that. But when I started this YouTube channel, I started it on something that I was doing at the time, and trust me, people still ask me about that thing when I'm not even really doing that anymore, in case you wonder. But make sure it's something that you don't mind talking about for the long haul. It's okay to pivot at some point once you get, once you grow in this industry, but make sure it's something that brings you joy and that you don't mind talking about all the time. So the next step is to figure out what you want to talk about. And after you figure out what you want to talk about, you need to think about who you want to talk to. Listen, it is so easy to hop on here and say, hey, I want to talk about cookies, or I want to talk about business. You really need to know who exactly you want to talk to. Me, for example, when I first came on here, I really just wanted to talk to people who were interested in supplementing their income and making a little bit of money on the side. Now, that changed as I went along, but when I started, I had a very specific person in mind, and that allowed me to build a community much faster than I would had I just got on here aimlessly talking about whatever, not knowing exactly who I want to talk to. That allows for your audience to recognize that thing, and you like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm looking to just have some money on the side and start making some money. Let me go ahead and follow her. Let me subscribe to her channel. So be very specific in the person that you want to talk to. So instead of just saying, I want to talk about cookies, narrow it down and say, you know what, I want to talk about Christmas cookies, right? Or instead of saying, I want to talk about beauty, narrow it down and say, I want to talk about natural hair. Do you get my drift? Know who you want to talk to. Now, the next thing, I think you should consider how you want to monetize the blog, right? This will determine what you do in these next steps that I'm going to talk about. Now, there's several ways to monetize a blog. Let me just say that. And your blog should have different components. Like for me, I have my actual blog website. I do videos here on YouTube. I'm on Instagram very heavily. If you're not following me, do that now. But all of those are an extension of my blog business. But you need to know how you want to monetize so that you know what you're going to do in these coming steps. Now, how to monetize, I have a very extensive post on my blog talking about all of the ways to monetize that. I will link that down below if you want to take a look at that. But knowing how you want to monetize is a really important step, or even if you want to monetize for that matter, in the beginning before you start. Now, here's where how you want to monetize will come into play. The next thing you're going to need to do is to choose a blogging platform. Where do you want your blog to live? Now, I know several people that never started their blog until they effectively built that audience, and they did that on Instagram or YouTube, or, they built up a really good audience before they did that. But once you decide that you want to have your own website to funnel that traffic to, you need to decide what blogging platform you want to be on. And you have several choices in that. When I started my blog, I started it on WordPress. WordPress, I feel, is just the standard now. You can do so many things on WordPress. It gives me an array of options that I can do with my website to customize it and do so many things, and that's why I absolutely love WordPress. But there are other options out there. You have Wix, you have Squarespace, and several other options as well that you can host your blog. So deciding what blogging platform you want to be on is the next thing that you should do. I will link some down below that you can take a look at, but choosing your blogging platform is very, very important, especially when it comes to the monetizing part of your blog. Next, you're going to register your domain name. Now, what is a domain name? Pretty much it is what your blog is going to be called. Are you just going to go by your name and brand yourself? Or are you going to name it something cute and clever related to what you're going to be talking about? Whatever it's going to be, you need to purchase that domain name. And that is the www.whatever.com.co.org or whatever it's going to be. You need to choose what that is going to be. And a pro tip to go with that is make sure that your domain name is available on social media channels. So you want to go to Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and wherever else you're going to be online, and make sure the handle that matches your domain is available. Now, sometimes you may need to use a variation if the exact one is not available. So many people got so many domains, so many handles and all that stuff. So it may be a little tricky getting them to match exactly, but at least try, because this will be easy for people to find you online. I always say, if they can find you, then they can pay you, okay? And we all want a check. So they need to know where to find you at. So once you choose that domain name, make sure the social media handles are available to go with it. After you've got the domain name all set and squared away, you want to choose hosting if you're going to go with a self-hosted site, like I was talking about, one that you own and one that you can control the look and you can control what you sell and all that good stuff. You want to choose hosting. Now, when I started my blog, I started it with Bluehost, and I absolutely loved it because everything was right there. I was actually able to purchase the domain name with Bluehost, purchase the hosting with Bluehost, and also set it up with one click to my WordPress, right? So that's kind of technical. I do have a blog post that breaks this entire process down. I will link that below as well. But I did it all on Bluehost. One-stop shop to get my domain name, my hosting, and to set it up with WordPress all in one space. This is the place that's going to host your blog. They're gonna basically hold all your files and make sure the site is up and running smoothly for you. So Bluehost is not the only place you can do that. HostGator, SiteGround, oh, so many places. I'll link some of those down below also for you, but you need to find a place to host that blog. That is super, super important. So find a place to host your blog. I started with Bluehost. I like Bluehost. Yeah, you can choose whatever you like, but you need to have a place to host it. Now, the most important part that people get so caught up on is designing the website. People get so caught up on this aspect of starting the blog that they never start. But let me tell you something. You do not have to start with this fully customized site that's like done all perfectly and professionally. You just don't. You can simply go and purchase a theme for your website and have it installed at a click. Seriously, I purchased my theme at themeforest.com, I believe. I think it's ThemeForest. I'll link that down below as well. And I had it installed in one click. One click. Right now, if you're starting your blog on WordPress, there are so many things that they offer inside of WordPress that you can literally, once you set it up, you click on the theme and boom. All you have to do is customize it, which means go in, add your pictures, add your words and all that. It is not hard, and do not get caught up on that. If you cannot figure it out, head over to Fiverr and hire someone to do it for you. When I originally first started, that's exactly what I did. I purchased the hosting and everything. I found a theme that I wanted because I didn't want one that was in WordPress, and I found someone on Fiverr that was able to install and set it all up for me. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. So many of you contact me and get so caught up on what the blog looks like, and that's not even what it's about. Okay, get it up, buy you a theme, hit one click or have someone do it for you, and bam, you will be all set up. And last but certainly not least is to tell people about your blog. Tell people what you're doing. Tell them that you have started a blog and you would love their support in reading your blog posts and purchasing things from you or whatever you're going to be doing. You have to tell people about it. A lot of times when we are starting something new and it's small and we don't feel like it's big yet, sometimes we can be reluctant to share with people because maybe we're not fully confident. But you gotta jump out here in these internet streets with confidence, okay? You cannot be afraid to share what you're doing, tell people about it, and be bold in your approach, okay? You gotta be confident in what you're doing so that people can feel that confidence from you and want to support you. Who wants to support someone who is unsure about what they're doing, is not confident in what they're selling and what they're talking about? Nobody, okay? So make sure you tell people about what you're doing, tell your friends and family, and ask them to share with their friends and co-workers and all that good stuff so that you can get the traffic and eyeballs on your blog that you need. Those are the basic steps to getting your blog up and running so that you can experience success this year and beyond. Make sure you stay tuned and you click that button to have those notifications turned on, because I'm going to be doing an entire series about starting a successful blog in 2020. I've always asked about how I started my blog, how I gained my community, how I work with brands, and all this other stuff, and I'm going to go into detail about all of it. So make sure that you are right here with those notifications on. If you are not currently subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate if you would do that and share this video out with someone who is interested in doing just that, starting a successful blog in 2020. I appreciate you all for being here so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.